This is the Tuesday edition of Market View, live on Eswatini TV. I am Natalie Sitole. Welcome to the program. Today we turn our attention to a rather timely digital skills initiative that is opening doors for Eswatini across the country, or at least it has the ability to. As the world rapidly shifts towards technology, digital literacy and artificial intelligence, the ability to adapt and compete in the digital economy has never been more important. The Royal Science and Technology Park, partnering through the Ministry of ICT, launched a free digital training program, the Quarters Eswatini program, aimed at equipping you with critical skills for the future. The program is designed to empower young people, entrepreneurs and working professionals with cutting-edge knowledge in areas such as AI, data science, programming and Android developer fundamentals. Such initiatives play a key role in bridging the digital divide, creating employment opportunities and encouraging innovation. In conversation with RSTP today, we take a closer look at what the Coders Eswatini program offers and how it could help shape the next generation of digital entrepreneurs. But first, our business news. Let's kick things off with our business stories, shall we? Eswatini are not ready for retirement, as many will not be able to maintain their lifestyles after leaving employment. This reality prompted Old Mutual to bring together industry leaders at the Thought Leadership Forum to discuss how smart investments made today can help secure a more stable and prosperous future. Banomile Hlachwayo, who represented the Chief Executive Officer during the forum held at the Happy Valley, explains why the conversation was especially important at this time.
We're realizing from statistics that a lot of Eswatini are not ready for retirement. What do we mean? We have less than, of the working force in Eswatini, 15% replacing their retirement savings. What do I mean further by that? I'm saying for you to be living comfortably, you should be able to maintain your lifestyle. You should be able to buy the necessities that you're currently buying. You should be able to even go out if you're a person who actually goes out. So when we brought the different stakeholders who are participating employers, we felt let's talk about the importance of owning the journey of your retirement life after you clock out. You need to interrogate your statement. Most of us are just comfortable that I have a retirement benefit, but we don't interrogate, is it going to be enough? So part of the conversations we're bringing today is we want every fund, retirement fund, to challenge the members to increase the contributions because we don't have a minimum threshold. So we're saying let's move from what you're currently having and stagger it up at least to a 15% net contribution towards retirement. Why? Because it's now moving us more in terms of replacing a better retirement contribution.
Eswatini continues to make significant strides in financial inclusion, AFI, particularly in empowering small and medium enterprises and women in business. This was highlighted by Dougal Thomas, Head of Communications at the Alliance for Financial Inclusion, during a media training session held at the Central Bank Complex in Eswatini.
Is already doing very well in financial inclusion and across different areas. So I would probably choose two in particular. The first is the work that's being done to promote women's financial inclusion, to support women entrepreneurs, to make it easier for them to access financial services, to access credit. And that's, there are a lot of initiatives underway. One reason that I'm here this week is the Alliance for Financial Inclusion and the Central Bank of Eswatini are organising an event looking at how other countries have introduced movable collateral registries which make it easier for women entrepreneurs to get access to the credit they need to build a business. So Eswatini is already doing very well, but also has interesting perspectives ahead of it in that field. And the other one I'd maybe highlight is inclusive green finance, which is how can access to financial services help businesses shift to more sustainable, to greener ways of operating, for instance, by upgrading their machinery, and how can financial institutions help by making loans available to businesses to encourage and to assist them to go green. And that's an area where Eswatini is doing very well. The AFI network has published videos and reports about Eswatini's work in this field, and it's really an area where this country is almost a trailblazer in our global network.
The Eswatini Revenue Service wishes to inform the public that the South African Revenue Service, SARS, has announced the implementation of temporary importation declaration requirements for personal goods by all travelers entering South Africa, including motor vehicles used for travel. This is a compulsory requirement and applies at all points of entry into South Africa effective 1st of June 2026. The requirement forms part of South Africa's customs processes and applies to all travelers entering the Republic either by road or air. SARS has indicated that the declaration is aligned to South African customs legislation, which requires goods, including motor vehicles, to be declared when entering South Africa. The Eswatini Revenue Service therefore encourages eMaswati traveling to South Africa to complete the online SARS traveller declaration before traveling. Completing the declaration in advance will help reduce delays at borders and airports and facilitate smoother entry into South Africa. Once submitted, SARS will issue a notification to the traveller linked to their passport number, which will be used as a reference for authentication. Travellers will be required to provide details including passport information, travel details, contact information, companion details, where applicable actually, business details for business trips, and information relating to goods, cash, and bearer negotiable instruments valued at or above 25,000 emalangeni. The declaration can be completed via the SARS Traveller Declaration webpage, with support also available at borders and airports through SARS counters. Travellers may also use the South African Traveller Management Systems the system app to register and submit declarations. ERS reminds travellers that this is a mandatory requirement for entry into South Africa. Travellers are urged to prepare in advance by completing the declaration online and ensuring all travel documents are in order. And you're up to date with some of the latest in business. After the break, we speak to the RSDP.
Hello to all the viewers of Eswatini TV in the kingdom and beyond. Eswatini TV is regulated by the Eswatini Communications Commission through the Broadcasting Code and Broadcasting Guidelines. Under these instruments, the station commits to broadcasting information and news that have been fact-checked, programs and content in respectful language with no elements of hate speech, violence or sexual activity. If you hear any unsuitable content on this channel, you have a right to voice your complaints with the station management. Should you not be satisfied with the response or action taken, you can escalate your matter to the Communications Commission at PO Box 7811 Babani. Call 2406 7000 or send an email to info@escom.org.za. For more information, visit www.escom.org.za.
Welcome back. You're still watching Market View, and moving on with the program. Last year, the Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology, in partnership with the United Arab Emirates and Udacity, launched Quarters Eswatini, a transformative national digital skills initiative. The program aims to empower 300,000 eMaswati with globally recognized future-ready certifications in artificial intelligence, data science and programming, positioning the kingdom for success in the digital economy. We're now joined by Royal Science and Technology Park Communications Officer Senzo Malaza to share the remarkable progress and impact of this groundbreaking program. Senzo, good afternoon. thank you very much for your time. So the target was 300,000 eMaswati. I don't know how well that's going actually at the moment, but maybe from your assessment so far, what impact has it had since its launch in terms of enrollment, in terms of development, and certainly digital inclusion?
Well, good afternoon, Natsila, and good afternoon to the viewers at home. Well, the impact is huge. Are we getting the numbers that we were hoping for? We are happy with the numbers that we're getting, and we are, however, hopeful that we're still going to get more numbers, particularly beyond the enrollment stage to completion stage. And then coming back to your question on impact, the impact is there for all to see in different dimensions. The first dimension would be that of trying to attract young eMaswati into the digital skills space, or say STEM fields in general, but also to the older generation to say, while government is working hard to automate services, you also need people that are going to be able to access those services through having the requisite skills to access them. So these training courses are meant for that, but also they are meant for professionals who may be in broadcasting, in accounting, in engineering, to fully utilize the skills and opportunities that come with AI, that come with data analytics, and everything that talks to IT in these different fields, even in the health sector. So we believe that the impact is there in terms of service delivery, in terms of how we are now able to quickly do our tasks at our different professional platforms. So we strongly believe, Natsila, that we are going, as a country, we are going to realize, or rather we've started to realize the benefits of having those trainings. But much as we are happy with the numbers, we believe as a country we can still do more, particularly because these are courses that are not either age or gender restrictive. They allow all of us, young and old, male and female, to participate and get the benefit of those courses.
Senzo, the digital economy is here to stay, and globally, emerging economies are encouraged to actually tap into it. When I bring it closer to home, one of the socio-economic issues that we're dealing with is a high youth unemployment rate, particularly among graduates, skills gap, issues of that nature. How is the Eswatini Quotas program really positioning participants to become employable, or to some extent get to a point where they can actually start and run their businesses via the skills that they have been equipped with?
It actually puts you at an advantage, because we could both graduate with a bachelor's in journalism and mass communication. But if I now say to a prospective employer, I've also done a certificate in data analytics or in AI, it now gives me an edge over my competitor, if I were to speak like that, in the job seeking aspect. But also, it gives me an opportunity to say, how can I come into the entrepreneurship space and be marketable? And I don't just go in blindly. If I've done, I'll make an example, if I've done a course in data analytics, because I'll be able to see what are the prospects of me making profits in the space that I want to go into. But also the skills that I am going to get are going to make sure that I am as profitable as I possibly can, because instead of hiring an AI specialist, I would have done that myself. So probably I'll be able to do 3 jobs as one person. We all know that as a startup or a founder, the first phases of your growing the business require you to do most of the jobs by yourself. you become your own admin officer, you become your own IT person, you become your own finance manager. So if you are now, you now have those skills in the IT space, you are able to deliver without any glitches. So it allows, the training allows you to fully go into business with all the prospects of being profitable. But also, Notsile, you might remember that about a couple of weeks ago, we launched the Eswatini regional competition of the Startup World Cup, where one winner is going to go and represent the country in the US, San Francisco and the Silicon Valley, and stand a chance of winning $1 million. In any of these sectors that the competitors may be coming from, these skills are vital in making sure that they become competitive. So we believe these skills are not just a nice to have thing, but they're critical whether you are employed or you are in entrepreneurship.
You're speaking of skills in artificial intelligence, data science programming, Android development that are actually, yes, highly competitive globally. We see the partnership with the UAE. We see that this is a course that the individual can take online through Udacity. What gives you the slightest air of assurance that it's not just the training, but the quality of the training provided to the young Liswati, it really does meet international standards?
We are comforted, or we know this for a fact, because not only did RSTP do the due diligence in coming up with this partnership, but also our parent ministry, which is the Ministry of ICT, which by extension is the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini, did that due diligence in finding out the right partner to partner with in delivering these programs. Sometimes we do not want to reinvent the wheel when we have people that are already doing it, and they're doing it not only in their own country, but they're doing it with different countries, and we are seeing the value that these courses are giving to other countries. We felt like we do not want to have Emaswati missing out, particularly the youth of the Kingdom of Eswatini, because these skills also allow you to access job markets beyond our borders, because in other countries, you have your remote working. You could be in Eswatini, but working for an entity that is in the UAE, in the UK, in the USA, Saudi Arabia, in any other part of the world. So we believe that when we open our minds through such training, we are also opening our opportunities to not only the job market in the Kingdom of Eswatini, but also to job markets beyond our borders without really leaving the kingdom. You could be in the kingdom and working remotely, as it is becoming a new phenomenon that is taking the world by, I would say, a storm. So we strongly are for these programs, because we know the partners that we are working with, and we know that they cannot just want to drag their name in the mud like that. And we can assure Emaswati, we always go out for the best when we are looking for partners, which is why in everything that we do not leave behind our parent ministry and government in general when we're partnering with external stakeholders.
Fair enough. Senzo, we'll leave it here. Thank you very much for your time. That was Senzo Malaza, Communications Officer for the Royal Science and Technology Park, and he was unpacking the Eswatini Quotas program that was launched last year by the Ministry of ICT. He was actually unpacking the progress of that program. In-house economist Sanele Sibia is already in the building. Stay with us. We'll speak to him right after this.
Mswano ingozi akathi His Excellency, His Majesty, King Eswatini III. This is the moment of truth. King Eswatini III, as he is being driven around the arena and greeting the crowd. He's whistling, ululating, and joy among everybody here.
Nayo-ke isisondela izohlaliswa-ke esihlalweni sayo sobukhosi yinkosi entsha yesizwe samaSwazi bandla esiyibona laphayana.
Welcome back now for our market analysis segment. In-house economist Anela Sibia is in the studio. Mr. Sibia, good afternoon. Thank you very much for your time. Perhaps you could just fill us in on things. How are markets actually looking this trading day?
I thank you, Notsile. So what we're seeing in the markets is a reaction to those early morning strikes. But then at the same time, when we are looking at the fundamentals and the news still coming out of Tehran, markets are relatively on a stable path. If we start with the European markets, we can see that Europe has somehow taken a step back, following yesterday's holiday in London. So London is basically just down, up 71 points. Again, the rally is being driven by the post-holidays trading. Usually we tend to see an upward surge in trades after a holiday, and then if you come into the DAX and the CAC franc and the CAC index, we're seeing that DAX has lost 122 points. The CAC has actually lost 70 points. Now that's because we've seen those defensive strikes coming through from the US within Iran while the peace deal is still going. The peace talks are still ongoing. And then also we have seen, President Trump coming out to say that if the talks do break down, he is going to go on the offensive. So we're seeing Europe reacting to that. And then moving on into the Asian markets. In Asia, again, we're seeing a that mixed picture in markets with, Japan there still are down, but still on the 64,000 mark, just 4 points shy of the 65,000 mark. And then that's largely we can attribute it to, just profit taking after that good day and that rally to that 65,000 mark. And then in Hong Kong, after the yesterday's holiday, we're seeing the markets there back down 6.58 points. Again, there's a bit of that story to do with the news coming out of Washington and Tehran and those early morning strikes. And then the same thing we are seeing within the mainland, losing some 7 points in today's trade, largely driven by that, by those movements downwards, by those movements within the talks and, you're talking about a ceasefire and you're going on a defensive strike. And then coming into South Africa, again, South Africa is reacting to those news as well, losing 614 points in today's trade, purely because of those news that are coming through. And, a bit of that subdued activity within the miners, rather volatile, not subdued activity within the miners. And then when you come into Eswatini, we remain relatively stable at 493.16 in terms of overall share volumes. And in terms of the commodities, our commodity space is somehow nudging up. The price of gold nudging up 10.8 points in today's trade. Given those early morning strikes, investors are still weighing and trying to see where the direction of the peace talks is going to go. Yeah. And then coming into crude oil, those early morning strikes are showing on the markets with that 2.2 points inch upwards in the price of Brent crude oil. And then in terms of the currencies, we are on a relatively stronger footing, but we're seeing a bit of a loss in terms of the strength in today's trade. Remember, just the past 2 days and yesterday, we're almost at the 16.20 mark against the dollar, but now we are back on that about just touch above the 16.30 mark, largely because we're seeing that marginal transfer of capital back to those, stronger currencies. And then also we're seeing the same thing against the euro. We're just down 0.28 percentage points. And then we're also stronger weaker against the Japanese yen.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Bia. That was in-house economist Annalise Bia coming through with today's insights in terms of the day's trade. Otherwise, this has been the Tuesday edition of Market View. From myself and the team, let's meet again next time. Bye-bye.
Mswatu ingosi thula akayithathe akahambe nayo akayithathe yedenza bakhe wone
Join Georgia Calvin-Smith every evening as she brings Africa to you with in-depth reports, guests, and voices from across the continent. Get the latest stories and insights.
Join me for our focus on the continent, Monday to Thursday, for Eye on Africa on France 24.
You're watching Paris Direct. The headlines this hour. The US carries out defensive strikes in Iran as the diplomatic effort to end the conflict continues. The Revolutionary Guards, meanwhile, say they reserve the right to respond to any ceasefire violations. Fighting between M23